Welcome back, y'all, to the question and answer session for
to the black.
To the black.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
I can't live with it. We can't with it. Last February, I got shit on by Fastcart for it's Black History Month, Paul. When are you gonna bring black people on? And I was like, oh right, shit. Now I have three black creators on, and it's like, oh, you this is for Black History Month. It's like, you all three have been on here before, except for Subliminal. Don't give me the Raz there, Griffin.
No, that's not it.
Pandering, yeah, that's it. It's a signal, virtue signaling. Yeah,
there you go.
All right, let's get started with the questions. These are all questions for from the chat. If you missed the last show we did, or last section we did, if you're watching this on YouTube, up there will be the link to the last one. Go watch that. We talked about the ISC, the hover quad. We talked about the road to Pyro, a bunch of stuff like that. So go check it out first and take a listen, especially if you're looking for a new ship, possibly. If you're just getting started in Star Citizen, just some discussions about what kind of ships you should be looking at. So yeah, I'm going to be reading off questions from the chat right now to answer for the entire cast. And if you are in chat right now, feel free to ask more questions. The first question comes from Midnight Black SC, who asks, what's everyone's top pick and loadout for solo playing Xenothreat? Start with you, SpaceTomato. When you're playing Xenothreat alone, if you're playing Xenothreat alone, what ship are you going to be using?
I've flown in with a Super Hornet every time, to be honest. I don't get to play the game as much as I'd like to. I'm not really a pick a strategy and do it kind of thing. I generally just jump into every situation with whatever I have on hand. So okay. I don't really load out for it, but I usually have just been going in with my Super Hornet.
Subliminal.
I think that the servers usually have combat down.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the reason you're going to lose a mission in most cases. You're going to lose a mission because there aren't enough people delivering the packages. The one I just did went to golf. I've never even seen that before. MSR?
Okay.
Is really good at that. Oh, hold up. Wait a minute. Hack. I got a hack for you guys. All right. This is going to be for the whales out there. Carrick. You can go in, put the Pisces in the hangar, put all of the quantum sensitive stuff inside of the Pisces, and you can jump with it.
Yes. That's something we used to do with people
Hercules. Did it with the Argos. They were doing it.
Yeah. You put it in the Argo cargo and inside the
yep, that would work too.
Yeah, inside of Hercules.
I've had issues with the Argo cargo bouncing around, and it caused damage to both ships. I wound up losing it, but maybe I did something wrong. I don't know.
Probably server stability. Server stability has not been good with Xenothreat. It has been either 60 FPS smooth and buttered, everything's good, or 5 FPS and everything is playing like it's like a rubber band, back and forth. So. What do you think, Griffin? What is your choice for solo playing Xeno?
Solo playing is definitely. Subliminal hit it on the head. Most people love that MSR. They take it in, they get the stuff in and get out. It's a good ship to do it in.
Okay. I'd probably say the Cutlass, because any of the Cutlasses are beefy enough to fight if you need to fight, but they also have a nice big cargo hold, and they're small, so it's easier to slip into that area and just kind of load everything up.
Here's a really good one. I got one more. Hold on. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm giving 3 here. All right.
It's okay.
The Hammerhead.
Yeah.
So you load up a Hammerhead. Oh, but you're talking about solo. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Multi-crew. Right?
Multi-crew for
sure. You load up a Hammerhead. You leave one person in. The pilot could get out and have 3 people offload everything through the front porthole.
Yep.
So you just fly the Hammerhead right up to the deal. Load it up. You got a guy on the turret. You don't even need to have anybody else in the area. The Hammerhead can tank everything, and that turret guy could take it out. Those are my 3 favorite ships, I think.
That's a strategy I've used a lot with the Hammerhead, is using the front airlock area and just having one person in the top turret who's just defending it, because you're just going to get melted. Any NPCs coming near you with that turret is just going to melt in seconds with just the amount of firepower you can hit with that thing. Even like a a Vanguard is going to die in just one sustained burst of that thing. So, all right. Next question comes from Zombie Bat, who asks, "What are we talking about tonight?" We just talked about it.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Ionic Gecko asks, "What are everyone's thoughts on the work shown on the Banu Merchantman thus far?" Start with you, Griff.
Well, yeah, this is another one of those Gib situations. A lot of people have been anticipating that ship. It's one of the older concept ships that we've been waiting on for a while. The stuff they showed the other day was interesting. It's the white box. They talked about moving some things around in the engineering section. I'm really curious to see how that ship's going to turn out. They've kind of modified the direction that they've gone with the Banu from that organic, that alien organic look to a different style. And I'm really curious to see from what they showed us on the exterior, how the interior is going to reflect it. Because they talked about holographic displays and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a brig on that ship. There's this not a sanctuary, but there's some sacred area on this ship. I thought it was very cool what they showed about the turret section on the ship. They're putting a lot into that particular ship, and it'll be interesting to see how much of that reflects the whole Banu culture thing and any other Banu ships that come later too. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go. It's a big ship, that's for sure.
Subliminal, your thoughts on it?
I'm not really a big fan of the really big ships. I'm excited for it. I'm not all that. I don't know. The Banu Merchantman doesn't really do it all that much for me. The Banu Defender is a really good ship this patch, but yeah, I don't know. It's not really my thing. I'm gonna own one. It seems like a really good value.
Do you think it's a good
what
value?
I bought it for?
Do you think it's going to be a good value for like a combat operations? Because I know it does have that front turret, right?
Maybe, possibly, yeah.
Okay.
But it's gonna be big though. It's gonna be one of the slowest ships in the game. It's got to be, right?
Can I ask the lore? Can I ask the lore king a question, Subliminal,
Sure.
real quick? The lore on that ship is that, if I'm remembering correctly, is that the Banu Merchantmen were basically the fleet ships for when the Banu went to war. So are they still going to maintain that? Because they haven't really talked about it from a offensive defensive thing. It's been really about the trade dynamic. But is it still going to be formidable in the sense of, like you said, if it were to get into battle?
Yeah.
Because I know that.
It's designed to be. I mean, it's got like size 8s on it.
Yeah.
Like neutron guns or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
It's got twin size 8 neutron cannons or distortion cannons. It's effectively just the Banu's version of a capital ship, but because the Banu don't actually fight wars, it's more of this needs to be able to kill everything it sees, but also trade. So,
right.
And it's got that front.
Also got to make some money.
Yes, it's got to make some money. It also has that front hangar bay that can hold the defender.
The ship in it, yeah.
The Cerebro turret, yeah.
Yeah, I would think it was going to be able to defend itself fairly well because obviously your trade, what you're carrying inside, is valuable. So,
Yeah.
but I was just kind of curious from Subliminal's point in the sense of battle war type of thing. How it'll be.
It's more of a modified merchant vessel. It's a merchant vessel. It's designed to do combat, or not designed to do combat, to designed to defend itself.
Defend itself. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know how you justify a tachyon. Apparently, it's a tachyon singe guns. Basically a point-click die gun.
Yeah.
If it was anything like the original tachyons, it's going to be like you point at it and then it's hit scans. So it's just
Don't interrupt business.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to say. Like, wait.
All right. SpaceTomato, your thoughts on the thoughts shown on the Banu Merchantmen thus far?
From the last Inside Star Citizen, I was watching it and I realized that it was like it's the first alien ship with an actual like real interior. The Defender has a small interior, which they did a lot with, but like this is the first time we get to see how an alien handles like stairs and, well, I guess there's stairs on the Defender, but like larger staircase structures, architecture, like all this stuff. And I realized they're going crazy with it. like Griff said, like they're putting so much work into this ship, and you almost wonder, like, is it going to be worth it? I mean, yeah, it's a cool ship and it does the trading and it has the big gun, but like, how much is this ship going to be used? Because they're putting a lot of effort into it. So it'll be interesting as they get closer to launch and they start to tell us about maybe some of the functionality of the ship. Because as of right now, it's just a very, very beautiful art piece, but it does look impressive. And having that sort of alien interior to kind of, now we have a baseline to expect from Xi'an ships in the future and more Tavaran ships. And it's just, it's exciting. It's very cool in the art aspect, but I'm still, the jury's out on, what does this ship actually mean for the game?
I'll tell you exactly what my thoughts on the Merchantman. It's about damn time it's done, or it's getting close to being done. I'm one of the original like backers for it. I could wait longer. I don't really care, because it's like a lot of its gameplay isn't in the game yet, but it's one of those things where it's very much a required, it just a checklist. Getting it off the list, getting it done is a good thing. Just like the Carrack and the Hercules, we're getting them done, getting them off the list, even though if they're not fully in there. It'll be nice, and people who've been waiting for that ship will get to have their ship. So I'm okay with it. It looks good. I'd like to see more about what it actually can do, because right now a lot of it is just, it's a trading ship. We got a lot of those already, so. All right. Gin and tonic. Okay. No one has mentioned the Reliant as a starter. Why not? Well, I can explain why not, because the Reliant is dog doo-doo. It is very bad for what it does. There are some potential future capabilities.
Tell us how you really feel.
It is hot garbage, but not in the same kind of hot garbage as the Redeemer. It's in hot garbage in the sense that it is not very well designed, but
Jeez.
It is cool.
Paul's just shooting off in random directions right now.
I mean, I like it because it's stupid, and the slap fights with it are great. When you run at people and then just like turn off the landing gear and turn it on, so like landing mode. So literally just doing this. And you can like charge at each other and just kind of try to slap each other with the wings. The fundamental problem though with it is its wing goes, you're done. You get any kind of damage to that wing, and you cannot control the ship. It's like the Vanguard with its engines. You hit a Vanguard's engines, it becomes dang near impossible to control it, because it just loses so much of its
Talon.
power. The Talon, yeah.
Rip the Talon.
All right. Let's move on. Well, what do you think? Why did y'all not mention the Reliant? Because I was the one who actually mentioned the Reliant.
The only thing the Reliant really has, in my opinion, as a starter ship is just like some of the unique things it does, like the filming. But that's not the base Reliant. Like the Reliant's a cool ship and it's unique, but it doesn't stand out for any reason to me.
Yeah, the Corée is supposed to be that starter cargo thing. I've never seen anybody using it, even to haul one box. The Sin, I do believe, has great potential, though, as a ship to be a scout for exploration for people who are going to be into science, things of that nature. It has a scanning package on it. It could do some, if you've got an Endeavour or Odyssey up in orbit, it can come down and do some scanning, or even do it in space if you're looking for, trying to scan for Quantanium or something like that. I think it'll be great for that and doing experiments. But again, it's another one of those gameplay mechanics that's not there yet. We don't know what science is looking like, what exploration is looking like. So, and of course, the Mako with the news van thing, we keep hearing about it, but, nothing's there yet to use that. So.
I'd like to point out that he pronounced it Corée.
Mm-hmm.
I call it the Corey. I don't know what you're talking about. It's the Corey. It's the Reliant Corey.
CIG officially calls it the Corée.
Yes.
Hyphen on emphasis on the end.
That sounds like some really posh like upper middle class kid. His name is Corey. It's like it's Corey. No, it's pronounced Corey.
No.
It's the Corey.
Excuse me, no. I came to school in a tie. My name is Corey.
Yeah, it's like I've had kids who come into school and it's like, oh, this is it's Corey, and it's like, no, it's Corey. Just call me Corey. No one calls me Corey, please.
Corey for short.
Your mom was a hippie. Okay, we'll move on. Do we want to hear Subliminal's rant about why the Reliance is not a good ship?
Have at it, Haas.
The only good thing it has for it is the 6 size 2 weapons. That's the cargo space, I guess. Like I said, I think it could be an okay starter. I'd rather have a Titan, but I like size and maneuverability better. And that broadside is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slow. Flies terrible in atmosphere. Runs out of fuel. The atmospheric flight with bounties now is really important because you go, where's Lord Holy Man? He's probably trapped in the back of his Reliant because he accidentally bedlocked. But yeah, I do have a disdain for it. I don't really like the way it looks. I think the idea of it doing the rotation thing is cool, but it's one of my least favorite ships that people like, if that makes sense.
Did this ship hurt you when you first started playing?
It is.
No, man. It's the people who like it. The Reliant cult, they're oh my god, like they just won't take its trash for an answer. It is what it is, man.
You know what? I will throw in something to what Subliminal is saying. I am curious about, we keep hearing all this lore about how this Xi'an tech with MISC is supposed to exist, and we don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the other problem too. If there was something that stood out with that ship that reflected that, you might be willing to say, "Hey, I'll buy that for $1." But whether it's the Starfarer, I don't care which ship it is, any of the MISC ships, we still haven't completely figured. Other than, I don't think it's just aesthetic design, but what makes that merger or that working together with Xi'ans make those ships stand out, and we haven't yet to see really what that is. So
yeah, they only took the articulation in the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's.
Yeah.
I think it would be better if it was a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Same with their other ships too, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a big fan to see the Freelancer return to its ridiculous engine turns that it originally had. But
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. A lot of people wanted that.
But then the Cutlass had that in the early, and then does anyone remember the greased up
Wonky.
pig,
The commercial.
the greased up pig on ice wonk of that was the Cutlass? That was the way it's described. The best way it was ever described is it's like trying to fly. The ship is like a greased up pig sliding on ice. It's how it's trying to fly that thing. And when you looked at it in third person, the engines were just like like back and
The
forth.
weird thing is that they did at least do it with the Prospector. So even if it was just rotation, and the Odyssey even has the VTOL engines.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised they didn't, like you said, go back with that with it. But they put a wing configuration on it that makes it virtually impossible. I mean, they could do it, but
I mean, they could still do it. Like they even returned it back with like VTOL for the Cutlass. The Cutlass still has the VTOL, but now it's no longer this just wonky thing. So hopefully, if it gets like a gold standard pass, we'll see it return to some sort of articulation for that for a little bit more. So, all right. What about and some asked about what about Pisces and starter ship? We already talked about that though. So watch the other video. What about Castra and Magnus as Castra or Magnus in the system after Pyro or Nyx? So that's my big theory: is Castra is going to come after Nyx, just because Castra has two planets, a gas giant and a habitable world, and the habitable world is got one landing zone, which is a former military base called Sherman. And if you look at CIG's assets, Sherman has the most art done of it of any other landing zone in outside of Stanton. There's like 4 or 5 bits of Sherman, and it's in the mountains. It's got this boreal forest around it. It's supposed to be like amongst like the clouds are around it, and it's this former really remote military outpost which has been kind of converted for civilian use. So it's got kind of a different aesthetic than what we've seen with Stanton and what we'll see with Pyro and Nyx. And it's still kind of UEE aligned, so it's still a little bit good, but it's that frontier vibe because it's on the edge of space sort of thing. So that's my pitch for it. I don't think we'll get Magnus because Magnus would just be Hurston, but Detroit,
That's such a good description.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
What do y'all think? Do you think we might see Magnus or Castra?
Personally,
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Keeping it real.
Yeah.
Keeping it
Yeah,
real.
Soul, Terra, I know from like
Yeah.
other sci-fi stuff, and I know about Nyx and Pyro. Everything else, Odin, I saw that on a map somewhere.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Squadron.
Orion sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Out of all the 100 and something systems we're supposed to get, that's all I
Focusing
know.
on Stanton.
That's okay.
I could see Castra happening. I would want Magnus to happen, but I guess they'd have to really focus on the landing zone for that.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm assuming that the landing zone for Castra, while it's a military base, wouldn't have a giant hero location like the Drake headquarters would be. So
Yeah.
maybe Magnus would be more difficult. But yeah, one of those two, either Castra or Magnus. I still think Terra is pretty high up there in the running. I know it's a complicated system,
Mhm.
a big one, but it makes a lot of sense to try and get it in early to get us a proper lawful system. They've already shown us some of the assets for it more than a year ago, and that was like one of the first things they were demoing way back 10 years ago. Anyways, I know everything's changed since then, but they clearly have aspirations for Terra, so I think it's in the running. Maybe not third, but possibly fourth.
What do you think, Griff?
Terra is the only thing that I could think about because we have seen assets. I mean, one of the first systems back when Chris was doing the first demos or demonstrations, he put something together of Terra. It was real rough, of course, but I just think that because of the detailing of it, and they've talked about it before, that would be something that would come up. I don't know about Castro. Yeah, I don't know about the other Magnus. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them, but Castro, you're right. I think there is a possibility for that. At least there is. I didn't think about it, but you're right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so it's a popular theory of mine that Castra is next because it's such an easy win. It's just we another gas giant. We've done gas giants. Another terrestrial planet with some trees. We got that, and it's like this tiny little outpost, and that's it. So it's like, it's, take the wins when you get them. And it's got connections to Nyx and Pyro, so it's got a jump point to both. So it's like the perfect kind of little triangular kind of system there.
Does make sense.
Death Trooper asks, do you think there's a need for more fleet carriers? Subliminal, I'll ask you this because you're the combat pilot.
For more than the Liberator?
I think the Liberator is the only one we have that's any kind of a carrier.
Yeah.
I guess the Idris also carries multiple ships, but
I mean, I kind of feel like the Liberator filled all the holes for that.
Or
yeah,
the
I don't
Kraken.
know.
We also have the Kraken. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about concept ships, yeah. I mean, I think you got the Kraken. You got, I guess maybe is there no middle ground? Is that maybe where he's going with it?
I guess.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I guess I'd like to see something in the middle. Who would make it? And
Anvil. They're still saying that Anvil hasn't put out anything large scale.
The Liberator.
The Liberator, I think, is the one. The Liberator is made by Anvil, and that's like on the lower end, if I recall correctly. But I mean, something in between there would be cool.
I mean, do you think they'll do an Anvil cap?
Oh, an Anvil cap? Oh, yeah, they need to do an Anvil cap.
Yeah,
I would like to see that.
I could see
that would be pretty cool.
I could see something like Crusader or RSI doing a mid-range fleet carrier, especially since we don't have a lot of RSI. It's weird because it's like named after the founder of the company, but like how many RSI ships do we have? We've got the Aurora, the Connie, the Scorpius, which is coming out soon, the Mantis, which everyone forgets about, the Apollo, which still isn't out yet, and that's about it. There's 5
Polaris.
ships. The Polaris, there's 6. And I guess technically the
the Bangle.
The Bangle and the what's it called?
Not the Pegasus.
Perseus. The Perseus.
Yeah,
the Perseus are technically RSI. So it's like 6 or 7, but it feels like very few ships in comparison to say like Aegis, which is just every other ship is an Aegis ship. So, all right. What do you think, SpaceTomato? Do you think we should more fleet carriers?
I mean, yeah. What Subliminal was getting at, having something in the middle range there would be cool. Does Argo do big ships?
Yeah,
I know most of their ships are industrial transportation related. Seems like it could fit in Argo's category, but it's a little military in application, I guess.
Yeah,
the design language is cool.
I could see it because a military Argo ship in the sense that it's just a cargo ship, like a
just cargo transport,
just taking places from point A to point B, not doing any combat flights. But RSI is definitely a military company. I don't know who told you that RSI isn't a military company, but the Bengal is definitely a military ship.
It's a big old military ship.
The Perseus has some big guns on it, and the Polaris is nothing but torpedoes. So I think it has some. Scorpius is very military as well. So yeah. What do you think, Griff? Do you think there's space for more fleet carriers?
It could be. I mean, like you said, there are some other ships in the game that have hangars that do some carrier work, but the Liberator is probably the closest thing that we've got right now, as far as military. So I don't know. CIG could do it, but CIG kind of freaks me out because every once in a while they come up with something that I wasn't thinking about, and it's like, oh wow, that is actually cool. So whether they'll do another carrier, I don't know if that's going to be anytime soon.
All right. So Buster the Destroyer asks, have you ever injured yourself in real life while playing Star Citizen?
I've fallen out of my chair.
I almost fell out of the chair. Yeah,
my chair wheel came off and I just collapsed.
I've fallen backwards out of my chair on accident before while playing Star Citizen, but at the same time, Buster, is this a story you need to tell? Did you hurt yourself playing the game?
Brought on by personal experience.
Yeah. Have you ever hurt yourself subliminal playing Star Citizen?
No, I'm surprised I haven't. I haven't hit anything and hurt my hand at all. I was thinking maybe I once jammed my joystick into something, but no, I think I'm good.
Subliminal, you are known for dining and gaming. Have you ever burned anything up by accident? No. Not yet?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. I have chat keep me in check. Hey, chat,
Cool.
And if it wasn't for Google being able to set an alarm on there, I'd be dead.
All right. Next question comes from Orpheus, who asks, Squadron 42, when?
We don't answer when questions here, so Pat, next question.
So the answer to this is every time you ask a Squadron 42 when questions, Chris Roberts personally delays the game by another 2 weeks.
He finds another feature.
And all four of us, we've played Squadron 42 because we're special content creators and we've all had access to it. You don't get it.
Play it actually.
We get paid to play it. Yeah, we get paid millions of dollars to do this. That's why we're here. We're So the answer is no, never. The game is canceled.
No.
Squadron 42 when? No. I said we're gonna take the piss out of that question, but because the serious answer is none of us know. I don't even know if CIG knows. So, Sandgroper asks, how much fuel could a fuel truck if a fuel truck could truck fuel?
If we had a fuel truck in the game, we'd answer that question.
Probably a good truck's load.
At least a fuel truck will, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
All right. RJohn7 asks, do you expect the fuel prices to drastically increase in relation to refueling coming in 317, allegedly?
Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again?
Yeah.
I just blacked out. I don't know why.
Do you expect fuel prices to drastically increase in relation to refueling coming in 317? He said allegedly, so we don't know if it actually is coming in yet or not. But
yeah, I kind of think that it's going to be a race to the bottom, to be honest, because we're going to be so excited to try refueling. We're going to offer the lowest prices to get people to come to us. So at first, I think it'll be like everybody's just giving fuel cheap as long as they can give it. But maybe after a little while, definitely in Pyro.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think when Pyro comes out, that's when that gameplay loop will actually become something. Otherwise, they are gonna remove the fuel scoops though from a lot of the ships. So that's important. That people I don't think understand. But yeah, Pyro for sure is gonna be what's gonna make that worth it at that point.
Griff, what do you think?
I agree with these guys. Risk versus reward with Pyro. It's got to be worth it to drop off fuel somewhere, and there are going to be plenty of people who I don't know. I don't think a lot of players know how big Pyro is. It's really, really big, and the need for having fuel. But the other side of the coin is that who are you calling for fuel? I mean, are you going to spend more time calling people that you know? I guess if you're not in an org, or maybe you're in a small org, you may have to rely on strangers to deliver your fuel. I'm in test, so there's a lot of us, and there's probably somebody I could call and have trustworthiness of bringing me fuel and bringing it to me at a decent rate. But if a stranger's coming up to you and you're stuck somewhere, it's going to be a factor. But I don't know if there's going to be some great increase in pricing.
The biggest risk with relying on test for fuel is that you could also be filling up your ship with beer. So
with beer, exactly. Yeah, they'll bring water and forget. Yeah. Oh, we thought you wanted water. Yeah.
I don't think they'll mess with fuel. I think they'll mess with fuel eventually, but I don't think they'll do it until it's Pyro. I think they'll wait for it because they know that people will be like tickled enough by the uniqueness of a new gameplay mechanic that they'll just do it anyways for fun to see if it works.
Yeah.
And there are some people who legitimately will just go, hey, now I can rely on other people to refuel me. I can stay out and bounty hunt a little bit longer because my ship is going to eat more. I'm going to take that extra jump, that extra mission that I got to do real quickly, so I don't have to worry about it. I can call someone to get fuel on me. So, but it's really fun.
Yeah. Somebody.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that actually sounds pretty cool. I think that might be something I'll purposefully do is run low on fuel while bounty hunting just to experience the gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be cool if somebody just decided to hang out around like Ariel or Aberdeen or like one of the moons where you get a lot of bounty missions with a Starfarer and just be like, hey, I'm here, post in chat. If anybody needs it, just let me know.
Yeah. Come on down to Bob's Moon, where we have the last fuel stop here at Stanton. The biggest ball of yarn and this side of Terra or whatever.
Frank's Fuel Emporium.
Yeah. That's all I can think of is those shady like in the middle of nowhere America, like deep deserts of Arizona where it's like the last fuel from like 40 miles. It's like also has the biggest boot in the world next to it, sort of thing, trying to get people to show up. Got an attached like Arby's. Yeah, not even like McDonald's. It's like something that you see like every once per town.
It's the worst place to get fuel.
Yeah.
Elnar says if they really want to test fueling, that they'll be removing it from the outpost. They are removing locations for fuel, if I'm not mistaken. That's not what I heard. They will be doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably won't be able to refuel at like outposts anymore. Yeah, maybe just stations.
It'd be nice if the Starfarer could take fuel to those if they run out. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a mission right there.
Yeah.
Well, if they go back to the old what was the facility called? Cryastros.
Yeah.
If maybe there'd be missions where you pick up fuel and deliver it there, vice versa, or deliver from there to stations, because they could easily put the Cryastros back in.
That would have been a perfect cherry on top to add with the mechanic.
I think that's something they want to do in the future, but I think that also is quantum based. So I think it's one of those things where they're just like waiting for that back end to be finished.
Yeah.
All right. This is definitely a weird Buster question. If you're in space, do you think Chris Roberts can hear you complain about the Tang? Buster, blink twice if you're in trouble. Do we need to call the cops? Is something wrong?
She's sending us some messages. We better check on her.
Tang,
the astronauts drink the Tang.
Yes.
Yeah, we know what it is. We know. At least us old guys know what it is.
Oh, I remember Tang with the commercials and the monkeys, and I remember
that. Somebody said Wu-Tang.
I don't think it was a reference to Tang, Raven, but all right. I'm just going to skip this one because that's also nothing to do with anything. Tang just said contact. If you didn't see that who was that? There's another content creator post a clip of him at Xenothreat, which is like every 5 seconds, contact, 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 contact.
That's how it be.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Pseudomech,
Stop.
yeah. Black Sheep Aries asks, Under 100 throws out the best mid-size priced ship, the Freelancer base. Would you recommend it also? No. I love the Freelancer. I love it to death. The entire range is fantastic. It is not a ship I would suggest buying early on. It's a ship I would suggest working your way up to in game. But I don't think it has enough flexibility for it to be a good starter ship, because that thing handles like a bus. It is just not a very easy thing to fly. The Cutlass is great. It's a bastard, but it's great. But the Freelancer is very much a cargo ship that also happens to have guns on it, especially with the miss. It just happens to have more missiles on it. So, what do y'all think? Why wouldn't you suggest the Freelancer? Because none of you suggested the Freelancer.
I think
As
really
a starter?
the same reason as you. But not as a starter. I think he's talking about a starter. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's too big to be a starter. I mean, even the Cutlass isn't really something I'd say for a starter. That's something to move up to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's actually a entry level multi cruise ship as far as I'm concerned. You know, you can't yeah, you can fly. We say this about any ship. You can fly any ship out there on your own, but are you maximizing the design of it? And the ship's got turrets. It's got a co-pilot seat. It's got 2 other scanning positions, and you're not really going to be utilizing all that bang for your buck. So I'd go with something a little smaller first.
Right.
Or save up for the Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to cargo hauler, why not buy the Max?
Yeah, that's
if you're,
good. Yeah, the Max is good. Yeah.
If you're an explorer, why not just save it for the Durer? If you want to just shoot missiles and you like the Freelancer, why just not get the miss? All right. Gilmere asks, what do you guys think about the PvP aspect of Star Citizen?
That's a real broad question. What do you think about the PvP aspects?
It's good.
It exists. There is
You mean griefing?
No.
The comments are now going to be filled with.
Everybody knows I'm joking if they follow my channel. I think Jumptown was a lot of fun. If you guys don't know, I actually solidified playing this game a lot because of the original Jumptown. I could guarantee you if it had never existed, I wouldn't be here right now today.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really PvP anymore. But I had a lot of fun during Jumptown, this most recent deal. And if they keep giving us events, if they give us a reason to PvP during Xenothreat and Ninetales, or come up with more events that are maybe more PvP focused, maybe I think that would be great. I think it's going to be good once they get rid of some of the network issues that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
As far as gameplay goes, for me, I'm not a big PvPer. I will when it's necessary, but it's not my thing per se. What I do, I came out of Eve, and as you guys know, Eve is just always watching your back, like 24/7. And if you want to do something, you're going to have to PvP to do whatever it is you want. If you want to mine, you got to PvP. If you want to trade, you got to PvP. I like the fact that Star Citizen keeps me on my toes wherever I go. If I run past Tomato, he might shoot me. Then again, he might be, dude, I'm trying to get where I'm going.
Whoa, man, I'm not going to shoot you. Don't put that on me. Come on now.
No, I mean, I like that. I like the fact that it's 50-50. You know what I mean? That it could go either way. I don't want it to be so innocent that, I run past you and I never have to worry about anything. But I also don't want it to be where I've got to be drawing my gun every time I see somebody. I like the fact that there's just enough of it there to make it dangerous, challenging, but at the same time, there's a good possibility I can accomplish what I need to do. So for me, I'm hoping they can keep that balance in the game, that PvP is always there to keep the challenge, but not so overwhelming that if I just want to look at the stars for 5 minutes, I got to not worry about getting shot in the back of the head,
Yeah. What do you think, Tomato?
I've got a lot to say about PvP, actually, weirdly. Some to go off of what Griff was just saying.
That you
This
shoot first
might
and ask
be
questions
too
later?
gamey.
Is that what you're saying? Is that Griff just outed
No,
you as a psychopathic murderer?
Griff's trying to make me look like a crazy person. Man. This is just off the top of my head here, so this might not be a good idea. But the idea of like running into somebody and knowing whether or not they're going to shoot you seems like it's becoming harder and harder in this game, when I felt like it should have been easier and easier, and maybe the law system isn't, it's not quite there yet to be able to let us feel more comfortable around people. But I'm almost feeling like there should be some sort of a augmented reality system that allows us to know what somebody is doing, whether their weapons are armed, whether they have a weapon out or something, whether maybe they're on alert with the local security. Like it just feels like I look at everybody and I have no idea who I'm looking at. And that kind of brings a level of anxiety, especially as we get more into the game, when you can lose a lot more risk from somebody who's just like, just don't care and they'll pad ram you or something. So in that sense, I do hope that we can get a better chance of seeing what you were saying, Griff. But another thing, I was actually just talking on my own show yesterday with Avenger 1, and we were talking about the idea that PvP is kind of, it feels like it's something, or at least combat something, that CIG should be teaching a baseline to every single player. Because like, if you go out and you're mining and you're on your own, you might not want anything to do with PvP or combat or anything, but you're going to have to know how to, at the very least, evade. You have to know how to get away from people. It's not that you need to be forced into a battle, but like, there has to be some basic level in Star Citizen so that everybody is ready for PvP if it does happen.
It's gotta linger always in my mind.
Yeah.
Like PvP has always got to be there. And if I think we're not quite there yet, but I think we'll soon see, when you're in like Stanton, it's like, I see another player. It's he's just there.
Yeah.
But like in Pyro, it's like, I see another player. I'm like, oh,
You're
I'm about to die, or things are about to go off because I just saw another player and I'm in Pyro where there are no consequences. So, I think the biggest issue with PvP right now has to do with things like from a PvPer side of things. I don't do a lot of PvP, but I do know a lot of people who do. And one of the biggest frustrations is the alt F4ing. People just logging out and then just immediately disappearing. There's no consequences to it, or no way of preventing players from running. And I want to make the context for this because I've talked about this before and people got upset about it, which is no PvPer wants it to make it impossible for you to run. PvPers most likely want to have it be difficult for players to escape them, rather than having no skill, just turn on your quantum and jump, or just turn on your boosters and go, and then no one can catch you. There's very little that they can do to stop you if you just turn on your boosters and run. There should be some sort of skill involved in getting away from somebody who knows what they're doing, and there just isn't. It's just like engines go burr, and you're done. So like there's some things that from a PvP side it needs to improve, but I think as an overall aspect, I think it's an important part of the game, and I think CIG knows that, and CIG wants to do that. Just more active players interacting with one another, be it murdering one another or helping one another or just passing as ships in the night, this kind of thing. So. All right. Next question comes from Kazi, who asks, is there any reason they made ground vehicles like the hover bikes detectable to AA guns? Is there something I'm missing about how silly that is?
Like the turrets?
Yeah.
I don't think it can shoot a hover bike.
Kazi said earlier that he experienced that the turrets were shooting hover bikes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're flying.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of crazy though.
Oh, maybe there's like a certain height that
maybe
when you're up a certain height and you hit a jump or something, you're fine. Wow. Try going lower.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to test.
Yeah.
Yeah. See how, if it's the height thing, you're right, it could be.
Yeah,
So the turret flocks to bikes and ships. Everybody says, yeah, they do shoot you. Okay.
They shoot you no matter what. Yeah. I think the honest answer is that they want turrets to be able to shoot everything. including things on the ground eventually. But because it's technically a ship, because it could also fly in space, I think that's the reason why it's able to do that.
Probably, yeah. So detecting it as, yeah.
But I also think that stealth needs to come back, like kind of what we had
yeah.
before, where like you could basically be invisible if you turned your signatures down, because a quad bike should be practically invisible, even if it's got hovering. It's just so small compared to everything around it.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I don't think it's silly. I think it makes sense. It's silly that it's only that and not like the Tonk, the Nova.
Yeah.
Like, the Nova should definitely be shot at by AA guns because it's if it can go down. So, all right, DW. Okay, that's just no. That's just two upwards arrows. So I don't even know what they're asking. Hey, it's Nick asks, what do you think we will see in future events? Would you like to see? What would you like to see for future events? Would you like to see added to the game, like Jumptown and Xenothreat? I think Nick is asking, what would you like to see for future events? Any suggestions?
I'll jump in about the Jumptown piece.
Sure.
I'm hoping that they expand Jumptown so that it becomes much more multiple locations, and we don't know what those locations are. They designate it where it's going to be for right now, so we kind of know where to go. But I want it to be a little bit more. You really have to figure out where it's at. And I know people can still pass that information on through chat, but I still just want it to be much more elusive than it is right now. But that's just me. That it, the sales go there for a certain amount of time, and then after that, because of they run out or too much heat, it moves to another location. I would love to see something like that. At
And the
least for
server has to find it, and then I agree.
Other events.
I've always had the idea of with Jumptown, to improve Jumptown, is to add some PvE aspects to it as well. Having like a monster closet spawn. So it's like, or, for now, in the future, having something like reinforcements coming in, because narratively, you're taking a drug lab from a group of people who are owning drug labs. If you were in real life taking a drug lab over from a gang or from a cartel, they wouldn't just, let you take it. They would probably come back and try to kill you for doing that. And in the process of doing that, it would probably require some back and forth. So at least some sort of timer where you have to deal with reinforcements coming if no players are showing up as well. So that could add a little bit more craziness. So
I think I'd like to see something mining related. Maybe like a big mining deposit is discovered, and it's required that you guys are getting all of the materials and then turning them in, and then it's required that another group of people, whatever the other side of the gameplay or the event might be, they have to take that mined materials into a space station, and then possibly there's some, other miners, some claim jumpers that are trying to come in, and you have to fight them off. You need some security to fight them off. I think
like a gold
an
rush
event based around mining seems like a solid idea, since mining is so prolific already.
Yeah. Someone in chat's suggesting racing events, which is a great idea too. Having an event that's just like an annual race.
Yeah, like, I don't know, scramble races or something.
Yeah, but instead of like scramble, having it being like a dedicated, like you go here and you race for this event. It's like it's all open up for that sort of thing.
I just said something a couple weeks on our show about how I would love to see the guys that do the esports stuff do something taking advantage of the racetrack over at Grimhex. Set up 3 or 4 of the Cutlass Blues with their light flashings around those asteroids out there. There could be great bike racing going on, simulated, and we can go into that little lounge area, the betting area, and watch stuff. That would be really cool. I would love to see something like that start to happen in the game. Also, for Subliminal talking about bounty hunting earlier, I really want to see the Cutlass Blue come to life. Those cryo chambers and stuff in the back. I wish they would have some type of, when you get your NPC, you can drag them out and throw them in there and drop them off somewhere. I would love to see something like that start to happen with that ship.
Yeah, I'd like.
I was going to say.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say racing too. That was the only other idea that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Or So like Ninetales is kind of like I want something more focused. We already have PvP, I guess, with Jumptown. What if it was more dogfighting focused PvP? What if it was trading only? Like because they kind of have it right now where it's like the event's going on, and if you want to do something, you can do it. But then if you don't want to do that thing, you have this thing. What if they have like laser focused ones for trading, mining, racing, dogfighting?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've had this crazy idea of some sort of like ground based one where you have to run relief supplies to a location, but you can't get there because there's a bunch of anti-air, so you have to like put supplies in a ground vehicle, then go it from point A to point B. All it is moving things from point A to point B, but there are enemy NPCs with tanks and mounted guns and like troops, and so you have to like clear those out as you're moving forward so as you can try to get to the location, or you can just try to bum rush it and not get hit and that sort of thing. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
So something to do around ground, because we don't have a lot of things around ground. So
yeah, just diversifying the way they run too. You know, we have these events that run in waves, maybe a whole cycle in a day. But I'd like to see some more that maybe went, like Sub was saying, more focused ones that run for like multiple weeks that are just constantly running on some sort of a focused event that you have to keep running with your friends to reach a goal.
Or the opposite of that, with it being like a 3-hour thing that randomly pops up. Like, oh, this event's going on. I really like this. I had another idea. What was the first thing you said? Yeah, my wife just distracted me.
Me?
Yeah.
I was talking about running the longer events, like multiple weeks long.
Oh, ground combat. I was going to say that they're working on NPCs actually patrolling the ground on the surface of the planet or moon. So that'll be dope. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could also see like something is like a emergency thing. Like there's a volcano that's blowing up in this near this town. Go evacuate the town. You know, you've got 2 hours. And you have to like get everyone you can. You have to like search through the town, find everybody, because there could be somebody under like rubble because of an earthquake or something like that. So you have to like rescue people, pull them out, get the medical attention. That gives people for like who are medics with medicine, but also people who are like in Hercules, like just drive everything in, like get all the assets out of this town before it all gets destroyed. So. You know, there's lots of events that CIG could be doing, and I hope they start doing the dynamic as well as like staged ones, more dynamic, dynamic being more dynamic and more multi-stage ones as well.
Tell you the truth, I was hoping that we were going to hear more about why that didn't happen at the end of last year. I don't know if they did the 316 postmortem yet. I know they were talking about that, but they wanted to get dynamically launched events by the end of last year, and it didn't happen. And I'd love to hear why not.
Yeah, that's a good question. All right. Buster the Destroyer asks, okay, for real now, I have a real question. Did you know you can spoon with somebody in Star Citizen? Happy Coromore and happy Valentine's. Yes, I did know. Thank you, Buster.
I didn't know that.
Today, I learned.
Yeah.
I'll put it in practice. Probably not on stream.
All right, next question comes from Nick's Outcast, who asks, what do you think will be the next part of multi-crew gameplay that comes to the game? For example, more co-pilot functions for jobs or for other roles in multi-crew ships? I know what's the next stage is because I read the monthly reports, which is engineering.
Resource management is what they're working on. Trying to think if there was anything else at the end of last year they might have talked about.
I mean, I think it's going to be pretty impossible to crew a Hammerhead without at least like 10 people in the next 2 years. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to get to it, but with having to, replace batteries or fix batteries and all the stuff with the power and people are going to be in for a rude awakening when they realize how many people they're going to need to operate their big ship.
Or just how expensive it is to turn it on. Because like another thing they're going to be adding is things like multi-stage startups. So they've showed some of those ideas, like you have to prime your engine with fuel, so you have to pull some fuel out to start up the power plant, and then when the power plant starts up, it's going to have its own like cycle, or it might have infinite power, but you have, every time you turn it off, you have to restart it somehow. So you have to sacrifice a little bit of fuel and such. So I'd imagine like even medical beds will have resources that you have to kind of replenish. Power, energy. Even your spacesuits are going to have limited amounts of fuel for EVAing.
Right.
So these are all things they've mentioned in the past, which is why, in fact, that last part is coming sooner than you think, because that's the reason why they introduced the tractor beams, was so that you could EVA without having to use your suit thrusters. So
got delayed.
Yeah, it did.
So, folks, keep that in mind while that boreal stalker is beating on your hull. That's just going to take you a few minutes to start your ship up before you can leave.
Just go out and fight him, fist fight him. That's my response. There's a Yeti that's 4 times my size. I'm gonna go punch it in the nuts and see what happens. That's a great way of dying. But no, some people asking about engineering, like that's what we're talking about. Resource management.
Yeah,
diverting
engineering.
power,
Also, refueling. I mean, that's technically multi-crew. That's going to be coming pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got about 15 more questions, and I think most of them are serious. Some of them are not.
None of them from Buster?
No, Buster has finished asking her questions. Blamsmith asks, which of the upcoming gameplay features do you think will encourage the most / best player interaction with emergent gameplay?
Fuel.
You're feeling.
Yep.
I think it's going to be AR markers.
Really?
So I think AR markers, if they do it right, I think AR markers are going to be what they let us mark locations with.
Think about it.
Maybe. I hope. If they do, then that's exploration right there. That's finding spots for salvagers, finding spots for miners, finding spots for bunkers, which would be a lot of emergent. So I don't know. I think if that is how they're going to do it, I think it would be that.
I'm going to agree with Subliminal, though. I think it's refueling. That's the thing that's going to require most people to kind of get involved with one another. Like salvage is so solo. You can kind of do everything you want in salvage, and cargo refuel or cargo refactor with moving your cargo around. You can do that solo. It's faster with more people, but it's mostly solo. So I think the biggest one is probably going to be refueling. What do you think, Griff?
Same thing. That's what I said, refueling.
Yeah. All right.
I'll be alone then.
You'll be alone. I like the AR idea. Like I like that idea of like being able to chart it out, because that's one of the big things that they kind of limits ground gameplay a lot with like FPS combat, is being able to point out a target, like that's the target, we're going there, and having everyone know where you're going, because directions in Star Citizen suck right now, so everything looks the same.
Even something as simple as mining. I know when you're out mining somewhere, and when we're mining in a group, if you find some big load of quantanium and you can't take it all, there's no way to mark it off. You've got to sit there and wait for somebody to come to the location, and you're leaving all that money floating out in space. So it would be great.
Raven Queen asks, how will or why should they stop the quote-unquote Rust-based gameplay when people can make their own base anywhere? Should they allow attacks 24/7 or not?
I don't think this game could be Star Citizen without that. It does, like, I don't see any type of thing they could implement that would make sense to what they've been building. That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's got to have a reason, right? That's everything in this game has to have a reason why. So you're logged off, and why can't you be attacked? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the reality. I think the reality is a little bit different though, because Rust is such a small game in comparison. Star Citizen's so big that you're more likely going to see people group up for protection. So if you want to have your little like lone homestead in the middle of nowhere Pyro, be prepared to get base raided. But at the same time, you're in the middle of Pyro on a planet that's the size, that has the actual legitimate like surface size of like India. If they don't know where your place is, they'd have to find a way to find your location, which could be very difficult. So you might be able to find a little middle of nowhere nook and be fine. So it's not as, I don't think it's nearly as risky. So, and of course they'll have things like, I'm sure they'll have like automated defenses and stuff like that you can purchase or build. But that's so far away. What do you think, Space or Griff?
Oh, yeah, I agree. No. No. I mean, they have talked about this before about bases, and this conversation has gone back and forth about whether they'll be, when you're out of the game, it's locked, and when you're in, it's, you can be destroyed. There's a whole lot of about destruction, raids. Again, space is a big place. I've always said that, and even though I know there's only 50 people per server now, even if there are thousands, when you have multiple systems, or even if you have 10 systems, as far as I'm concerned, Chris Roberts, about 100 systems. If you've got 20 systems with the scale that we have, that's a lot of space, a lot of places to hide, a lot of places that you can put things, whether they're caves, under trees, wherever. I don't, and then the thing is going to be, is it worth someone's time? That becomes the other factor. And if you're in lawless space, like you said, people can go crazy. But if you're in a system that, triggers certain things, or maybe you can have something that says when your place is being attacked, like in Eve, you get a notice. I don't know what they're going to create for that, but I don't know. We'll have to see, because like you said, this is a big game. It's not Rust. There's a lot more involved with putting things in like that.
Yeah, I think they said something about what's going to happen when it comes to server meshing, right? There's going to be some weird stuff going on with bases there.
Yeah, what they said with server meshing was that if you were not on the same, what do they call it? Shard. If you're not on the same shard as the base, then you cannot interact with that base. You have to be on the same shard as that base.
Right.
That base will
but on the same
shards. Right.
But on the same one, the idea that we're going with is like you log off, your base will still be there. It can be interacted with. Yeah. No, I don't see why that wouldn't be a thing. Like both of you said, the game is freaking huge, so it's going to be hard to find anyways. And also, there's got to be some risk, right? We're going to let people have a blast and make some cool bases and do some awesome stuff and reap some profit from those bases. There's got to be some risk.
I also think because Star Citizen is at its core a game about getting players together to do things. Making that risk viable will force players to come together in large settlements, and those settlements will grow naturally if they're in a good place and they have the right resources, and maybe at a trade area, and maybe they have a refueling depot there. That people will be willing to come settle it. That's just how humans react. We like to safety numbers kind of clump together. So,
how awesome would it be to have an org that has to start recruiting people in a certain time zone so that they can be awake and protecting the facility? It'd be like Jump Town 24/7 at your own place.
Yeah.
Isn't that how some games run already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Our time zone, yeah.
And I mean, you can think about it as like safety numbers with various people. If you want to have like your own little home, this org is defending the area, and you want to be able to set up and just grow space tomatoes or space potatoes.
Pardon the expression.
We call them space tomatoes, man.
Yes,
make you feel a little better.
Then sell your profit or meager profit for whatever. They're just like a mining operation. Well, at least you're not going to get raided by somebody, and if you do, you've got a bunch of people with guns protecting your little farm. So you may have to pay a little extra for the protection, but you don't have to worry about it. And that's the kind of interactions that are cool. Those are the kind of things that people want in games. So.
Yeah. I wonder if raids are going to be more on beyond just the simple raiding someone's place because you've got some loot, as much as it's going to be about resources. If you plot your place down somewhere because that's where you've got resources that you're pulling from, I think those are going to be much more the thing that people are going to be looking for than just because you've got a couple of guns in your house. I think they're going to be wanting to occupy your land more than just, breaking in and seeing what you got in some crate. But that's me.
Yeah. Stealing stuff off your land isn't going to be nearly as valuable as mining the land that you've been mining. So, Daskmore asks, favorite JPEG ship? I don't know what that question is. Is this favorite concept ship?
Or favorite ships? Concept, I guess.
You don't know the JPEG ship? You haven't seen my JPEG buyer's guides?
I haven't seen your JPEG buyer's guids.
It's my buyer's guides on ships that aren't in the game yet.
Okay, so for concept
he's one of my
stuff,
guys.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I don't want to say mine might be the Liberator.
Oh, mine's the Perseus. That's all. I like big guns.
And you cannot lie.
You don't
Yeah.
lie, yeah.
I think mine might be the Corsair.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah, I like that ship. That size range just always gets me.
All right, I got to be the oddball here.
Okay.
X1.
Hey,
Oh,
Huh?
I feel
Long
for
overdue.
X1 owners. I feel for X1 owners because my
That's
question
true,
is
yeah.
my question has always been like, why did we get a hover quad when you just released a 400i, which has an
Because
X1
we
bay,
always save the best
and-
for last.
and
That's
the
why.
and the X1 still isn't out yet? You know.
That's why the Ranger's coming after the X1.
We're saving
Yeah.
the best for last.
Yes.
That's why.
All right. Ionic Echo asks, since Pyro has gangs and Ruin Station is constantly being contested by various gangs, do you think we will witness continuous battles between NPCs as we fly around the system? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've got it going on in bunkers right now. It's easily to move it to that level. You know, when you
Yep.
get in stations, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll randomly come across security and pirates fighting all the time. I was just like flying around on, I think it was Calliope. I was up in the atmosphere, and out of nowhere, I got pinged with 2 contacts, and I looked down, kind of like off maybe 10 o'clock down towards the ground, and there's just like a pilot and some security dogfighting just randomly. I was like, I'm not going to jump into that, but absolutely, I think we're going to get a bunch of that when we're in Pyro for sure.
What do you think, Sub?
Oh yeah, I agree, 100%. I think that's what the whole thing is going to be about.
Mhm.
That's all with the lore. You know more about lore than any of us, but the little bit that I know is that there's gangs like Xenothreat and other ones. I think there's at least 7 more that are fighting over there in that system.
right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, gang, the ratio's 9-1. It's
Yeah.
more of them than there is of us.
And by that point, we've had server meshing. So I don't think these are just little skirmishes. We're not going to see a couple of, like right now, we see a couple of Buccaneers and some Titans. I think by that time, you're seeing Hammerheads and Perseuses and whatever, you know, big old ships fighting each other. Idris is
These are
slowly
well-equipped
out.
gangs.
Yeah, these are gangs that have been fighting each other for their entire existence, and they obviously have access to military grade tech. So it's more war than gang in this kind of sense when we talk about a gang war. And that's kind of the point, because it's a place where lawlessness rules, and so people who want to just fuck shit up can go fuck shit up, and get paid for it. So, all right. Wander04 asks, what do you think about tying the various magazines, such as Heavy Hauler, scattered throughout the system, to being able to interact with them and read the main article on them? It'd be nice. It'd be cool. I don't think it's a
That'd
priority,
be cool.
though. But yeah, I'd like that. Be able to flip
Like
through.
in-lore magazines in the game.
Yeah.
It'd be cool for sure.
Yeah, it would be.
Elite Dangerous has Galnet, which is a really fun one. So, you know.
I'd say let the players make that.
Yeah. You look at what Zark Media does with their stuff, which is great. I'm hoping that there could be a lot of not only CIG stuff, but we talk about when the ships like the Mako and stuff, where they're actually those monitors that pop up at the stations. You get these little things that pop up from, of course, authorized and approved by CIG. But man, it'd be great to see that type of stuff popping up, because I loved when the Idris, we get the announcements, during Invictus, and those monitors would light up and say, in 20 minutes the ship's going to be here. They could incorporate that.
All right. Next question comes from Death Trooper, who asks, what features for multi-crew would you like to see, or org features?
Could you repeat that, please?
What features for multi-crew would you like to see, or org features would you like to see?
Or org features, okay.
I would say for me, the engineering for multi-crew. And then for org, I mean, an org system, an actual org system where you can share ships and the whole rabbit hole that you can go down bringing in stuff for that would be nice.
Yeah, I love the fact that now, as you guys know, you can actually take mining components where before you couldn't. The mining heads and stuff, they were too big. Now you can move them. I would love that they start physicalizing components, like Sub said, where now you've got to replace stuff on ships. That would be so cool to me. The engineering role would be so critical now.
Yeah, I agree with Sub. Engineering so big. I mean that like because that captures so much stuff. You know, I want somebody to be able to replace a relay box. I want somebody to be able to repair the engine or to shut down the power to this turret. That's kind of like it's just a grab bag of engineering stuff that's going to be really cool. And then I think what I want to see most for org features, realistically speaking, in like the next year, I would love if you could identify an org that somebody belongs to in game and also be able to contact all your org members specifically, or at least see where they are specifically in game. You know, a list separate from the friends list, because there's a lot of times when you want to meet up with your org or know what's going on with your org, and like it's hard to find them.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That's like because that's really difficult to find people in org, especially if like they're in the same server as you. You have to kind of like guess where people are and that kind of stuff. Like I've been in the same server as people I know who I play with, and I didn't even realize it. Like neither did they. We just happened to be in the same server, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I would say I'm gonna go a little different. I like the engineering, multi-crew gameplay, but I think having more co-pilot control. So like the idea that a co-pilot could take over piloting. So like in a freelancer, they also have a stick. So if they could take over the piloting, or if they could use all the targeting systems, especially in ships like the Connie, where you've got this thing that flips down in front of you. You can't even fire missiles. Because it's this big thing in front of you, so you can't use the missile modes. So like having operator modes be able to like be swapped over to anybody on the ship would be nice. I think it'd be a cool addition. But I like the engineering stuff as well, resource management and repair and replacing. Have you all played Sea of Thieves at all?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have not, but I'm familiar with it.
There's a specific rush when you're in the middle of a combat with anything and your ship is blowing apart and someone's running around with like panels just hammering away as the water is getting all the way up as you're trying to save and then having to bail. And it's critical. Like those people save. Like it's in Sea of Thieves. It's not who's the best fighter that wins the battle. It's who has the best engineers or the best
team.
Best team.
Yeah, it was the best team.
Yeah.
That always from the freaking beta of that game, I was always like, this is like exactly what I want from Star Citizen. It's just on water.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
When you're in a multi-crew ship and it's the thing that saved you is that one guy pulling that key component at the right moment and putting back in the replacement that recharge the shields. That's not only cinematic but like fun. It's that fist pump kind of moment. So
it's also really cool.
Yeah. All right. Agent FBI asks, has there been any confirmation of being able to have NPC wingmen, a Chewie for your MSR? Yes, but not yet.
Oh, he means in the ship?
Yeah.
When I heard wingman, I'm thinking like somebody to fly security with you. That'd be cool. But definitely someone in your ship, we'll be able to hire people. You'll need it because people are buying all these big ships and don't have any friends. So, yeah.
I think even you'll probably be able to hire NPC security.
The shade.
I just heard that shade. I just realized what he said. Listen, Subliminal. I was not told that I had to have friends. I was told that I could operate the Idris by myself in an MMO, and I should be able to do so.
They told me all I had to buy was a ship.
Don't open
not a
that
friend.
can of worms. Oh, God.
But I think you'll probably also be able to like hire NPCs to protect you eventually. But that's so like. And I don't even know if that's a thing you should even think about until server meshing comes out, because it's like that's so far down the line. It's like, was that a dig at everyone else on the panel? No. Yes. No.
I don't know what any of you guys' fleets look like, but I do a thing where I roast people's fleets. And man,
my fleet is garbage.
I mean, my biggest ship is an MSR. I don't get big ships. That kind of, no. So I know what you're talking about. You see a lot of people. There are a lot of big ships. There are a lot of big ships in this game. And I think a lot of people that don't realize how much they're not going to be able to use them.
Well, I have an account that has nothing but luxury ships in it.
The snob.
That's all I'm going to say. And all the money I make in my main account is transferred to that account just to support those ships. So,
to be fair, the biggest ship I have in my account is a Nautilus, but it wasn't one that I got. It was someone that just gave me a Nautilus. So I'm like,
ooh,
all right,
nice.
cool. I'll take a Nautilus, an LTI Nautilus.
Yeah.
But
cool.
yeah, I think the second biggest I have is like my Banu Merchantman or the Perseus. Probably the Merchantman's bigger than Perseus. But the Perseus is just such that sweet spot of like 3 dudes, just 3 people hanging out, blowing shit up because it's just the size of a little bit bigger than a Connie. So it's that kind of.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's tiny. It's
I
very
keep
tiny.
thinking the Perseus is big.
It looks
I kept thinking it was like
mean.
Polaris sized.
No,
It looks
smaller.
mean, but it's a little bit smaller than the Caterpillar.
They do have that photo of it like cracking through a hammerhead, I think.
Yeah.
Which would give it the scale.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess it would be. Wow, that's crazy.
It's actually smaller than the Hammerhead. Yeah, it's slightly smaller than the Hammerhead. So, she's tall though. So
Yeah.
and she looks mean, which is the whole purpose. She's small, but she looks mean.
size 7 on her.
That's cool. I didn't know that puts that ship higher on my list. I didn't realize it was that size. I thought it was bigger.
It's
Probably because of the price, right?
it's $600.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Woo, yeah, that's it.
But it's it actually has the same crew requirement as the MSR.
Huh.
Yeah, it's only 4 people, max.
Yep.
So.
I think my biggest ship is the C2, and I think I'll probably pick up a Merchantman. I might even melt the C2 and get a Merchantman if that's possible, depending on if it's a package or not.
I just remembered I have a CCU to a Carrack, so I guess that would be the biggest I have.
Yeah, but a Carrack you can solo. Like you don't. There's nothing required about it. I mean, yeah, you need turret gunners, but
Yeah.
like none of us here have multiple Idrises. Griffin.
No, I don't have multiple Idrises, no.
No, there's no luxury version of the Idris yet.
There you
Give him
go.
some time.
That's right.
All right. Humpa Man asks, refueling without beacon? Question mark. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
It's because there's no beacon to send out. I think it's fine. You have chat.
yeah.
They'll
And
end up. No, you know what they'll do? I mean, like right now, you've got the beacon for when you get injured. I'm sure
Yeah.
there'll be some translation to that. What they'll
That's
do.
a point. They just don't.
I hope so, because
Good.
it does seem like it's going to be kind of tough to do. Like, I don't know if I want to tell the whole server that I'm out of fuel by aerial. Come find me. Yes, you know what's going to happen there. So
Just
it
say
is
you're
kind of
broke.
interesting.
Just say you're broke when you do it. That's all. I don't have anything on me.
I'm
My
in a
empty
fighter. I
prospector.
have no cargo. Don't come get
Yeah.
me.
I think it'll encourage more interesting gameplay in the sense that like one of the things I did when I was when I played a lot of DayZ was a group called the Reddit Rescue Force, which effectively was like the Fuel Rats but for DayZ.
Yeah.
Where you people would like people who get injured in game and they don't have any supplies, they would go on to like TeamSpeak and be like, hey, I'm in this server at this location and I need medical supplies. And it was almost always, you know, it was about 80% of the time was a trap. But that's kind of why you did it anyways, because it's like I get to go in fully equipped and get into a firefight. That's that's the game. It's having fun. But every so often it was not a trap, and there's just some guy who was like, I broke my leg on this server. Can you come help me? And it's 3 people would show up fully equipped. They'd patch them up, get them what they need, and then move on. And it was that kind of like here to help you, kind of Fuel Rats style. Like I'm here to help you out. So I think that there'll definitely be people like the Fuel Rats who will find some service, make some service for someone who's like, yeah, I'm in my Aurora. I logged out of my bed and I'm trapped in this middle of nowhere. Can you come help me? And then just party up and go find them.
There's an org run by, I think, Lady Grace and some other folks who are real life doctors and nurses who have an org that is strictly medical. But they are also a lot of military, and they always say they'll have escorts and everything, but their whole role in the game is to respond to anybody who needs help. That's what their org is totally designed for, and they don't care if you're on the bad side or good side. They're going to be neutral. Their thing is to keep people playing in the game. That's what their goal is. So, and I think when you have orgs like that, that'll have a name of notoriety, you will get that level of respect. You know, that they say we're not out there, we're not vulnerable. We got some fighters and people with us, but it's just that you'll be glad to see them when they show up. You know what I mean? Because they get you back into the game faster than worrying about trying to, mess with them in their cutty red. It's not even worth it.
I think they'll be like someone in chat said. One truth in ED is you don't shoot the fuel rats, or very bad things will happen.
Oh yeah, bad things happen, and if you do that in ED, you get bad rep for that.
And I think that's the same thing will happen in Star Citizen eventually. It's like you shoot people who are refueling, or like coming out to refuel you, or someone who's coming there to rescue somebody, rescue you. People are gonna remember that, and you will not be well liked by even like very, very cutthroat orgs, because if someone's like, hey, I'm going to help you out even if you're, no matter what your crime stat is, that'll make some enemies very quick.
Is that player enforced, or is that enforced in the game somehow?
Player.
I've never played either.
It's
player enforced. Player enforced. Yeah. Dude, they'll shank you when you go to prison, Jack. They'll be looking for you. Yeah, we heard about you, Subliminal.
I hope we do see that in this game. I feel like, I don't know if we've had like players full on create that sort of a, I don't know, community resistance or community, like, the jury hasn't been put on somebody like that before. So I am interested in seeing how that happens in Star Citizen compared to Elite Dangerous.
Judging by how people get a crime set on accident and everybody in Xenothreat just starts attacking them, and I'm like, dude, he's been fighting with us this whole time. Come on, man.
His name is not Xenothreat. And just see red. Red must be dead. Yeah. All right, we've got 6 more questions and we're done. Sli-Fi asks, have you found yourself in a down state and called for rescue? Have you responded to call for rescue? What was the outcome? Twice.
Twice.
What was the outcome?
First time, I can't remember what happened first or last. No, maybe 3 times. I couldn't be picked up.
Yeah.
I fell through the planet when I got picked up. Or I just plane just was not there on their screen.
Oh wow.
I would say that I've never been actually revived by anybody successfully, except for when I went down somewhere with people. That's it. I did pick up a guy during Xenothreat that died. I came into the wreck and I was clearing it. I'm like, I think the guy who was here before me cleared everything, but I forgot exactly how I knew he was dead. Maybe I saw his marker, and either I picked him up or I had somebody in my crew with the multi-tool pick him up. And I thought that was pretty cool. He didn't even say anything in chat. I mean, we just picked him up. It's the right thing to do.
I have been rescued. I have rescued people a couple times without any issues, without any problems. The crazy one I had though was when I was with somebody who I got injured getting out of the seat in a freelancer. I fell down, and so we were in a freelancer, and we were trying to deliver some stuff, and I'm trying to remember what happened. He was supposed to drag me off the ship and get me off before the ship despawned, because sometimes if it despawns you'll disappear completely. He inadvertently took my helmet off.
Oh.
Which meant, and of course he couldn't put it back on, so now I was going to die no matter what, but that was the only weird buggy thing with that, is that he couldn't put the helmet back on me to drag me off on the ramp, because we were outside, of course, on the landing pad. But that was my one little buggy thing that happened.
How about you, Space?
I haven't been rescued, but I actually had a very cool rescue scenario. I was on stream and I was with a couple of other people in my org, and we got a medical call to a bunker. So I don't remember exactly what happened, but we ran into a lot of glitches. It was like a 25-minute thing, and we were like, oh, no problem. We'll jump in there 5 minutes, all good. Like 20 minutes later, we were just arriving because we hit a bunch of glitches. But we got there, and it was just very high intensity. Like, he's talking to us the whole way in, telling us how much time he has left. Like, we're getting in there. We got all of our equipment. We got our combat gear, our medic gear. I get in there. The elevator's down from the bunker. So like, we don't know what to do. So I just sprint and leap off of the elevator, do this giant hero landing at the bottom. The game lets me live, whatever. I sprint in and like run past the guys who are trying to shoot at me, and I get over to him and I heal him. He gets up and we exfiltrate. And it's just like a completely, it was awesome. It was completely successful. I got him it was seconds. He was counting down the seconds. He was like the single digit seconds when I got to him. And it all went smoothly. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about I have been successfully revived, and it was awesome. Okay, so I'm in a bunker. I'm in a bunker. No. I'm in a bunker, and I'm fighting against the NPCs, and I'm realizing that they're not gonna stop. They just kept coming. There was a bug, or is a bug, where they just keep coming. So I'm fighting in there. I'm like looting to get ammo, and I'm holding them off. I eventually get downed. I call a guy. He comes in, right? But I forgot exactly how I couldn't tell him what was going on. Oh, my chat told me not to.
Oh,
So this dude comes into just a barrage, right? Thinking that I probably killed everybody. His body's all over the floor. It was ridiculous. He picks me up. He dies. Because of bugs, I couldn't take his med pin off of him and revive him. So he wound up dying, but I revived. By the way, when I got downed, that reset the bug. So then everybody else that I killed stayed dead. They stopped coming. I cleared my crime stat and actually got away.
And the other guys just left to die.
Yeah, he's dead.
Wow.
He's dead. Oh, he's dead. Yeah.
It's awesome when it works.
I have never experienced it. I've called for rescue. No one's rescued me. And I've never, as a result, whenever I see it, I'm like, how long is it going to take me to actually get there to rescue it? It's like, oh, he's on the other side of the system. Not worth it. I think I'm at some point I'm going to do that though. Like, get a stretcher, put it in my Cutlass Red, and then just fly around and do medical rescues for a stream or something like that, and see what it looks like. So
we're kind of in this like weird place where there's not enough people calling for rescue that you want to go out in a ship and sit there ready to get people, but then like you're also like, well, nobody's going to get me, so you don't make the call. It feels like maybe once there's more people in a single area, it'll get better.
I also think when they start doing NPC rescues, when you got to go find an NPC and rescue a little bit, because that'll like bounty hunting. Every so often when I bounty hunted, I'd do NPC missions and I'd see a player pop up and I'd be like, they might not actually realize that they're wanted, and like this, they come in my direction. I'm like, I'm gonna stop these guys and go get that. So it's like the situation where if I was rescuing people and I rescuing NPCs and then suddenly I hear player needs help, I go, oh, they're like over here, I can just go pick them up, that sort of thing. So not center, but Paul, that's because I never have beer on me, and without beer there's no reviving you. That's true. That is true. Luckily go ahead.
Sorry, I think maybe what if when we can actually sell stuff we take from a bunker, people might start doing it then. They might have a fully loaded Cuddy Black out there with stuff, have somebody come in and pick them up so they can actually deliver it. That might be a reason why.
Yeah, could be. All right, we've got 5 more questions. Dell,
real quick. Yeah. That's actually, I feel like that's a good point. That like you don't necessarily have a reason to stay there for the gameplay, but like eventually you start to have reasons because CIG keeps building all of these things on the game, like physical inventories and like ships with insurance and like all these things that people complain about, but those are going to be the things that eventually force us to use these actual gameplay scenarios.
Death of a spaceman.
Good point. Yeah.
All right. Delinar asks, we're supposed to get selling shops this year in 3.17. Do you think they would push player-to-player trading with the tech for the BMM this year? Because it seems like they're trying to get the Bandit Merchantman out. Do you think one of the reasons why they're doing they're selling to shops is because they're trying to get player-to-player?
They can't release a ship with the gameplay with it. That's never happened before. The ship has to come out with nothing to do first. The Vulture actually might be the first one to come out and actually have the gameplay. But I would be surprised if we had the ability to actually use the Bandit Merchantman for what it's for. Right now, it's a big cargo ship.
Yeah.
I wish they would incorporate the player-to-player trading though now, which what's the inventory and the fact that we can give each other money, which or UEC I should say. That's great, but I do wish that sometimes you have something as simple as when you're trying to get rid of a crime stat and you want to use your little dongle and give it to somebody because they don't have one. There's that chance that when you sit it down it disappears. I wish we could just walk up to a person, click on it, and trade. That's even though it's not monetary, it's just being able to give things to each other, med pen, whatever, that I wish they would incorporate that.
Yeah, I think what's the best thing CIG could do is allow for systems that are not so gamey for player-to-player trading. Because I think the BMM is mostly, and this is going to sound weird, I think it's mostly going to be there for player to NPC trading, where you're selling things to NPCs, because that's kind of what the privateer is. Because I can never imagine the privateer existing the way it does for players. That sounds insane and dumb. Like, why would you go to a privateer to buy something from another player or from a variety of shops at a player-owned station, other than just for the novelty of it? But then again, CIG also released the Reliant Mako, I think is what it is, the Dues Van, which has literally no concept of what it's supposed to be. So I don't know, maybe. But I think the best way they could make the BMM work for player-to-player trading would just be allow you to have stuff in your hand and allow people to take it from their hand.
Although it'd be nice on a larger scale, like maybe in the asset manager.
Yeah.
Tally it up, say get it to them this time, pay a certain amount.
Yeah, I guess
that is true. In the interim, Citizen John mentioned that you could put anything in a backpack, set the backpack down, you could take something out of it without having to put it on. It's pretty cool.
That's true.
Screw all that. I want it on a holographic plane that rotates around and just reach out.
All right, Chris. Let's calm down.
I give him any ideas, right?
All right, Punchy Stick asks, in Star Citizen Live, Jared made a whoopsie and said something that indicated that Pyro and server meshing might come this year, then walked it back soon after. Do you think CIG would come out and say no Pyro or server meshing this year as soon as they find that it's incredibly unlikely, or will they hold on to it to the last minute if they come out with it with that negative statement and all?
I think those are the same thing.
Yeah.
You'll find out at CitizenCon.
I think it'll be the last minute, and that's when they'll decide, all right, we can't do this.
Yeah. I think people misunderstand that sometimes CIG is just that optimistic. They're just that optimistic where they think they can do it, even if it's impossible that they do it. But they just don't want to give up on it. But I think it's also that's my tinfoil hat conspiracy. Is I think that's another reason why we got a limited release view now for roadmap, is because they don't know exactly when Pyro's coming out, and they don't want to they want to surprise people with a 4.0 announcement because they don't know when it's actually going to come out. So, what do you think, Subliminal?
I agree with you guys.
Okay. That's pretty simple. That's easy. Yeah. All right. Last question from Hydrolux 6557. What's going on with the whole C? I heard that it was going through gold standard a while back, and so how and why are they still working on it? I can explain.
Isn't that the level where it can't go planet side?
Yes.
Is that the threshold?
Yes.
That's probably why.
Well, it can't deliver planet side.
Right.
It can't land with its stuff. The whole A
with the cargo.
Yeah, the whole A can land with its cargo on board. So the whole A is a Argo raft situation where it technically can still do its job even if there's no server meshing or physicalized cargo. So that's why the whole A is still making it in 317, because it can still function. But the whole C requires the full spectrum of physicalized cargo and the cargo refactor to be in. So I think the reason why I got delayed till probably after 318 is simply because it's a big, complicated ship, and they want to make sure that cargo refactor works before they try to slap on its own mechanics on top of cargo refactor. So
also, the whole C is going to be basically useless till they can get the economy working, right? Like you can't fill that thing.
We kind of hope that it's going to come with the cargo refactor.
Right.
Yeah.
They're hand in hand. To have the ship in the game right now would be nothing but just another something to fly around. It's not functional. So, but I think there's promising signs because of the raft coming out, and we are seeing this whole cargo, this push toward cargo next, and hopefully getting the cargo decks working. So, I'm looking forward to the whole sea, to be honest with you. But like you said, we need the economy to make it really, really snap and make it work.
Yeah. Also things like Pyro and mix and places where you can go, because like the whole sea is not really designed to deliver food or supplies or, you know, parts from Hurston to Microtech. It's designed to go from Terra to the ends of the universe to deliver something, because it's just a big cargo hauler. You wouldn't use a big ocean line freight liner to deliver from San Francisco to Seattle, because the process of loading something onto that and having it shipped over there is a lot more expensive and time consuming than just putting it on a truck and sending it up to Seattle. So that kind of thing. Yeah, that's the last question. So thank you all so much for hanging out. Make sure that you are following and subscribe to the SpaceTomato, Subliminal, and GriffinGmaing RPG, and of course the Soul Citizens as well, which are Soul Citizens on Sunday, right? Usually
Sunday.
So go check that out. That live broadcast as well. And if you want to check us out live here at the Astropub at Captain's Table, it's every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT. Well, most Saturdays. Every so often to take a break. At twitch.tv/theastropub. Thank you all for watching, and like I say always, hope to see you someday in the black.
In the black.
There you go again with that black thing again.
I'm never going to win this, am I? I'm just never going to win this.